thought I'll come on a little bit early so that I can make sure everything works okay. Could I have, oh, thank you, Gail. Could I have a thumbs up to make sure you can all hear me? So just making sure my mic is working. So if someone could just, thank you, Shannon, appreciate that. So we already have quite a few people here. Thank you, Gail, about the newsletter last night. And I feel as if the wheels are falling off the bus, yes. To those of you who don't know, I wrote about our diminishing attention spans. And it's just been really weird the last couple of weeks. I can't tell you how many emails I received, people asking questions that were clearly answered in content that I had provided, like instructions on how to log into a course or, anything. And people just hadn't read it. And I noticed it in myself as well. I dropped so many balls in the last couple of weeks and skipping steps and feeling scattered. And it's like, is there something in the air right now? But I think it's also generally, right? we get bombarded with so much stuff these days. It makes it really hard to focus. And so anyway, so I appreciate you coming here and hopefully giving me your attention for the next hour or so. And we'll definitely be covering some good stuff, I think. And thank you, Verity. And yeah, I think people also want that connection, right? We're all about automation these days, make everything, automated. And so that is not a bad thing. I love automation, but people also want that real connection, and I actually said in my newsletter last night, is all our automation becoming, like those phone systems when we call into big companies and then we get routed through all this automation? I hate those. I don't know anyone who likes those. And you have to press 10,000 buttons and you never get to where you want to go. And why doesn't someone just pick up the phone and have a real person that you can speak to? How nice would that be, And so I think, people are craving that connection as well. And maybe that's also why they reach out. They just want to speak to a human being and connect. So, okay, so the question feature seems a bit buggy. Okay, well, Upayadi, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name correctly. I did put your question that you had put in the Q&A or in the chat. I put that in the Q&A section. So I have read your questions, so we'll definitely get to that. And so let's see what time is it. Okay, it's 9:01, so it's now the official time. And so welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. We'll give people some time to join still. And we had a lot of people register for this webinar. Now I know that also a lot of people registered because they want to watch the replay. So thank you still for registering. Someone actually commented that right now is also the kickoff of March Madness. And to be honest, I had to look that up. I wasn't sure what that was. And I still don't know if that is the right thing that I found. It's basketball tournament. I'm not really into sports that much, so sorry. But could be potentially something big to compete with. And so anyway, so I just wanted to, hey, Shaya, another local person. Great to see you here. Madness is optional. Thank you. So just a little housekeeping before we start. So you should all see on your right, we have a chat option. There's also an icon with a question mark. That is the Q&A section. So if you have questions, please ask them in the Q&A section. You can also upvote questions in the Q&A, so then I will start answering questions, with the ones that have the most votes. Hopefully we'll get to all the questions by the end of this. And Yeah, I know, Shaya. I don't think my audience watches that much basketball, much basketball either. But you never know. You never know. You know. So and thank you, Lucy. So, oh, Wendy, okay, if you posted questions, but they're not there. Yeah, someone else mentioned that the question, the Q&A section, something might not be working. So just put it in the chat and I'll see if I can transfer it to the question. And also, I am live streaming this to YouTube, I think. So I have to say, this is the first time, that I'm actually hosting a webinar all by myself. And I am trying out Crowdcast, which I really like. There is a feature to live stream to YouTube, and I turned it on. I hope it's working. I will find out later. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. And so yeah, so I'm managing this all by myself, and so please bear with me as I talk and also try and keep an eye on the chat. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Squarespace and selling events and online courses on Squarespace. Now, most of you know me, and you know that I've been using Squarespace for many years. I started actually in 2008 when I was a blogger, and I was always redesigning my blogs. And then in 2014-15, I became a professional designer, and I did that for quite a few years. But then in parallel, I also started teaching. So my first online course, some of you might remember that, Squarespace 101, launched in 2016. And since then, I've added lots of other courses. And from day one, so since 2016, I've actually been hosting my courses on Squarespace. Why? I mean, there were already other platforms out there, like Teachable was already out there, and Kajabi, and Ruzuku, Thinkific. But I just wanted to keep everything in my website. I wanted to use the Squarespace styling options, and I just wanted it to be simple. But of course, it wasn't like that simple, because Squarespace wasn't really geared for hosting courses at that time. So what I actually ended up doing is I had a page password. I used the blog for my courses. I had a page password, and then I actually had a Java hack that would send the email address when someone purchased a course to MailChimp, which is what I was using at the time. They didn't have campaigns yet. And then MailChimp would send an email with the password. That is basically how I started hosting courses on Squarespace. And hang on one second, because I saw that Wendy posted her questions. So I just moved them into the Q&A section. So then I think it was 2019, Squarespace launched member areas. And of course, I moved to that. So with member areas, my students can create their own account, their own password, and it's just much cleaner and much easier. But even with member areas, there are some limits. For instance, we can only have up to 10 member areas, and I'm also using campaigns. I have a special setup for how I use member areas, because you can at the moment not bundle them. And so I actually have a workaround for that, because I have more than one courses, I have bundles, so I need that ability. And and I also want to use automations. And at the moment, member areas does not work with campaigns automations, because I want to send upsell emails, for instance. So I talk about all of this in my presentation. So I have prepared a presentation. I have made a video out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the video. It's 30 minutes long, so it's a half-hour presentation. And so please watch that. I share a lot of really good stuff. We're going to be talking about commerce, campaigns, and member areas, how it works together, what you can do, what you cannot do, and what are workarounds. And I'm also explaining my own workaround. And as you watch the presentation, I will also be able to monitor the chat. That is why I'm doing it this way, because it's only me here. So let me get started. So let me just switch over. I am going to keep the presentation just in the spotlight window. I'm not going to make it full screen because otherwise I cannot see the chat, but it should be okay. So if once I start the presentation, if a couple of you could maybe just let me know in the chat that you can watch it okay and that you can hear it okay. So let me just switch this out. Okay. And I'm going to mute myself in a moment and we're going to get started. Well, I tested this like multiple times and it's not starting. So let me just try something else. Isn't that typical? Oh my gosh, hang on one second. Don't you just love it when technology doesn't, in the live environment, do what it's supposed to do? So I tested this before we went live and everything was working. So it's already in process. Okay, let me just try this again. Crowdcast, why do you have to do this to me? Yeah, see, I hit the play button and it's not playing. All right, let me just remove it and let me add it again. Let's start by having a look at what it takes to have a successful online business. There are 3 steps if you want. This is very, very high level. But the first one is that we are meeting our potential customers. This is where first impressions really matter. They are usually happening through our website, through our blog, which, for instance, is when someone Googles something and your blog posts come up, and that's how they find your website and find out about you. And of course, social media as well. This is why having a website is so important, even if it's just a basic one. But it's, like your digital home if you want. The next step is to connect with your potential customers. And this is all about engagement and building trust. And how do we do that? We use email marketing, we continue to use blogging, and also social media as well. Then once we have, built some trust and people have gotten to know us, this is where we then can start to sell. Because we need to sell, right? Otherwise we don't have a business. Without products or services and customers, we do not have a business. So this is, of course, a really important part of, running a business. And, what do we need to sell? Well, we need an online shop. In our case here, we have member areas. So for online courses, for instance, and then our marketing. And marketing, encompasses all kinds of different areas, email marketing, and there's a pop-up on your website, the announcement bar, and of course, SEO. And as you can see, a lot of this is happening in Squarespace. And, for the, purpose of this presentation, I am going to talk about, how I have set up things in Squarespace, because I use Squarespace for pretty much everything. So let's have a look at what Squarespace can do. I think sometimes people are still surprised at all the things you can do in Squarespace. Squarespace, of course, started out as a website builder, and that is still the core of their business. They have an awesome website builder, but they have over the years added a lot of other functionality. Now, we've always had commerce. Commerce has always been a part of our website. So you have it all built in so that you can sell, physical products, digital products, services, and also donations. Then Squarespace bought Acuity and, added scheduling to what they offer. And that also lives within your website now, although it is not fully integrated, into the website. For instance, it doesn't work with email campaigns. Then email campaigns, which is Squarespace's own email marketing platform. And of course, member areas, which allows you to sell memberships, online courses, private blogs, that kind of thing. Any content that you want to put behind a paywall, basically. So for the purposes of this webinar, we're going to talk about these 3 areas: member areas, commerce, and email campaigns, and how do they all tie in together? What can they do? What can they not do? And, what are potential workarounds? And just to make things simple, I'm going to, give a few examples, and we're going to look at, online courses, services product in commerce, and then email campaigns, which has 2 functions, blasts and automations. So let us have a look at commerce for a moment. What are all the things, that we can do? So as I said earlier, we can sell physical and digital products and services and also donations. With commerce, we can take payments online through Stripe, PayPal, Apple Pay, or Square. We can easily promote our products anywhere on our website. It's very easy to add a product blog or to, have your shop online. It's all fully integrated. You can also easily insert products into email campaigns. That's one of the things I love about campaigns, actually. So I don't have to build a product by using a thumbnail and text and then have a link. I can literally just go and say, insert, and then it will give me a list of my products. And then I just insert the products that I want to mention in the email. So that is really, really nice. We can customize the customer notification emails, which is very nice. And you can actually customize them per product type, so you can have something different for physical, for digital, or services. And you have analytics, and so basically you can see all of your important numbers at a glance right there in your website. I really like that. Let's have a look at member areas. Now, I've been using member areas since they launched. I think it was back in 2019, I want to say. So I've always hosted my courses on Squarespace, actually. So before member areas, I used a blog, and then I had a Java hack that would send an email with the link and the password, to my course on my website, so I used a page password in the early days. But of course, when they launched member areas, I moved over to that, and I love it. What I really like is that, first of all, it's good for my SEO to have it all on my website, to have people keep coming back to my website. That is something that Google likes, Google likes activity on your website. I have 100% brand consistency because I have easy access to all my colors, all my fonts. The member areas sits inside my website. So, everything is brand consistent, which is wonderful. It's easy for my students. They only need to know one place, my website. So they can come to my website for any information that they want. They come to my website to log into their courses. Very easy. It's also easy for me because there is no new system to learn. I already know how to use Squarespace. So setting up my course is actually, very easy. You can also offer a beautiful classroom because you have access to all of the Squarespace styling options. No other platform can make a course look this good. And, of course, it depends on what you offer and what you teach. But, I think this is also why member areas is, for instance, very popular with artists, because you can just make it visually really, really nice. And you can use sections and, everything that you can use on your website, you can also use inside your course, including also multiple page types. So, for instance, like in this example here, you can have a video page, so I can actually have all of my course videos in one convenient place. So if someone wants to do something and they just have to go to this page and think, okay, I just want to have a look at this again, and I can use categories. So it's very easy for them to find the information that they need and to find the video that they are looking for. You can also use blogs inside member areas. So, member areas is essentially a folder, and you can have any of the page types that Squarespace offers, like portfolio pages, blogs, and you can have all of that inside your member area, which is really, really nice. I love, for instance, using portfolios. They're not so great maybe on the website because you have some limitations, in the number of pages you can have, and also you cannot have drafts. But inside a member area, they work actually really great because you also have automatic pagination, for instance. And I can also use, again, all of my website assets. So I have easy access to blogs and products. I can easily insert, I can use summary blocks. So many options. And mostly it's just convenient and simple. It's easy to use. I never have to leave my website. And I just love all of this about member areas, and it's also available on all Squarespace plans. Even though member areas uses some commerce features like the notification emails, for instance, which are in the commerce section, but it doesn't actually require you to be on a commerce plan. So you could actually use it on a personal plan, for instance. Although I always, recommend to be at least on a business plan if you have a business and if this is your business website. Last but not least, let us have a look at email campaigns, which Squarespace also launched a few years ago, and I've been using it from day one. So in email campaigns, you can do what Squarespace calls blasts. Those are, one-off, one-time emails, and automations. Automations are triggered by someone subscribing to a mailing list or making a purchase. So what are the things that we can do with email campaigns? When I talk about this, people are sometimes really surprised by all the things that we can do. So you can, of course, send a welcome email to new subscribers. You can create a nurture sequence. So, after the welcome email, they may get another 2 or 3 emails that are all automated. You can send monthly check-in emails or, basically your newsletter. You can welcome new subscribers with a store discount. And this can all happen automatically. Someone makes a purchase, then they get an email, hey, thank you, and here's a discount, for future purchases. You can also send product-specific thank you emails. That is really, really nice. And again, that's triggered by the purchase, so that happens automatically. You can send upsell emails based on previous purchases. So, if someone, for instance, in my case, buys a course, they will get an upsell email to say, hey, did you know I have a bundle? You can also upgrade to this bundle, within 14 days. And so that's really nice. That works actually really well. Quite a few people do that. You can offer discounts to customers who buy premium products. You can actually set it so that when someone spends a certain amount of money on your website, then this discount kicks in. And you can create lead magnets and, with an opt-in funnel. And you can also create drip campaigns and even email courses if you want to, So if you have, let's say, I don't know, a 7-day course, you can do that with campaigns. Now, let us look at the things that you cannot do. This is, what we've been talking to Squarespace about for quite a while. So when they developed member areas, it was developed kind of separately from commerce, so it doesn't have all of the commerce features. And also products and services in commerce, for instance, you cannot send email blasts. So when you set up an email blast, you can select a mailing list, you can select a member area, you can select tags and categories, segments. You have all sorts of criteria. But you cannot select specific products, so that is one thing that we cannot do. However, you can do automations with products, so if someone buys a product, you can set up automations that will then send them automatically an email. and it can also put them into a nurture sequence, for instance. So this is what you would use, for instance, also for lead magnets. Online courses, on the other hand, well, online courses or anything that you use for member area, that you use member areas for, you can send blasts to, to members in member areas, but you cannot use automations. I don't know why this was overlooked for member areas. I just don't, so, but Squarespace know that this is really important. They are working on this, and I think we will see this maybe even this year, 2023. So yeah, so basically, member areas doesn't work with automations, but works with blasts. Commerce products work with blasts, but don't work with blasts, but work with automations. So let us look at some use cases. So I have 3 examples. The first one is an event, so for instance, a Zoom workshop. How would we do this? Now, again, for the purpose of these examples, I want to show you how you can do these things by staying in Squarespace, so we are just assuming that you want to use Squarespace. Of course, for events, you can also use other tools, like Eventbrite, or you could even use, maybe scheduling, but scheduling doesn't tie in with campaigns, so obviously this is something you have to look at a case-by-case, scenario to see what works best for you. So here we just have a simple event, and this is someone who doesn't have like tons and tons of events. They just want to have a fairly simple setup, and you can do that in Squarespace. So what you would do is you would use a commerce product, probably a service product, and you would set it up, and then people can pay online. And you could, for instance, limit the quantity as well. So if in your workshop you say, for instance, you don't want to have more than 20 people, well, then you can limit that to 20, so that only 20 can be sold. And once your customers have purchased your workshop, they will get 2 emails. One will be the purchase confirmation, which comes from the commerce system. And the second one will be a welcome email with a link to the Zoom workshop and any other information that you want to include. And this one will use campaigns automation, because remember, we can use automations with commerce products. Then you might want to send a reminder to people about your workshop. Now this will require some manual input, because there is no easy way, to get the names and email addresses from the people who have bought your workshop. So the way to do this is in Commerce, you can export the emails, you can export that data for specific products, and then you can import them into campaigns, so you basically have to export and import to get a list in campaigns, for this workshop. And once you've done that, you can then send an email the day before using campaigns blasts, because while blasts do not work with commerce products directly, but if we have a mailing list, where we have imported the email lists from our sales, then we can still use that. And same, if you want to communicate with your participants after the workshop, you could do one more export, one final export from Commerce and import that into the same list. And the system will automatically know, which ones are already in there. It will only import any new ones, that have still signed up after your reminder. So basically, step 1 and step 2 are fully automated, but steps 3 and step 4 do require some manual intervention. Now, personally, I don't think this is bad, because again, it all depends on how often you have workshops and, and how often you want to communicate with people before the workshop, and, do you have to export, import multiple times and all of that. But generally, I mean, I know people who do this all the time, and it's really not that big a deal because you have a process in place for this. You know, exporting and importing the emails probably takes about, I don't know, 10 minutes, you know, and so it's not like a huge time commitment actually. And, you know, so this is just one way that you can make this work. Let's have a look at case number 2. Selling one online course using member areas. So in this case, you know, if you use member areas for the customer, what happens is when they click on, you know, join this course, they would first be asked to create an account, then they would pay, and then they have immediate access to the course. It will immediately go to the homepage that you have dedicated in your member area. Now, some people have a little bit of a problem with this order. They say, well, why do people have to create the account first and then pay? Because most other platforms, they ask you to pay first and then you create the account. But I don't know. I don't actually think this is a bad thing because it means people immediately choose their own password and, you know, they have, you know, their own email address. And they don't have to wait to get an email from the system that then asks them to either create the account or to change the password because the system has given them a temporary password. I mean, I have signed up with other platforms and I always get like multiple emails and, you know, sometimes it's confusing. So I actually personally like this. I mean, if someone really wants to buy your course, they will go and do this. They will create the account, they'll pay online, and then they immediately have access to it. So they don't actually have to go to their emails and click on a link there to access the course. No, as soon as they have paid, they're taken immediately to the member area. So I actually like that. Someone mentioned once that they see a lot of people stop the process after, you know, at creating the account. So sometimes they create the account, but then they don't pay. That is the equivalent to the abandoned cart because many people, they say about 70% of people who hit a purchase button, they start the purchase process and then they stop, they abandon because either they get distracted or they change their mind, all sorts of reasons. It's actually very, very normal to do that. So this is just a different way of seeing that process, you know, by seeing people creating the account, but then they don't pay for the course. Well, that's them changing their mind. So I personally actually really like this. And then once they have paid for the online course, they also get one email, which is the purchase confirmation, which comes from the commerce system. And then, you know, as you want to communicate with your members, you can just use campaigns, blasts to send them updates and things like that. So with this setup, you know, step 1 and step 2 are fully automated. And then step 3 is manual, as is the case for any kind of, you know, ad hoc communications that you want to send out. Case number 3, selling multiple online courses and bundles. So that's basically the setup that I have. And I am using a workaround here. I don't actually sell my member areas using member areas. I use a commerce product. And let me walk you through this. Why am I doing this? So the first step is I have a service product in commerce that I use to sell my course. In this case, people pay online, you know, just like they do with any product. So, you know, they're taken to the payment first. The next step is that they get 3 emails. They get the purchase confirmation from the commerce system. They also get a welcome email with a link to the member area. This is set up in campaigns as an automation. Now remember, automations don't work with member areas, but they do work with products. And since I am using a commerce product, I can use automation, you know, so I can send them the welcome email, and in that welcome email, I have a link to the member area. Now, in this case, I make the member areas free because I don't want people to have to go through the purchase process again. I could send them, to a paid member area and just give them a 100% discount code. But again, I don't want them to have to go through the purchase again. So I make my member areas free. And because they are free, they also get a confirmation email from campaigns. That is how Squarespace have set this up to avoid spam. So because it's a free member area, they don't want people to just be able to sign up and then join the mailing list and basically clutter up your email system and or spam your email system. So you have to actually confirm this. So this confirmation sets what Squarespace calls a marketing flag in the person's profile, and that allows you to send them communications. So then when you are ready to send a blast, for instance, for people in a member area, then they will be in that member area, and you can then contact them and email them with updates or anything like that. Now, because the member area is free, I have to verify that when someone joins it, that they have actually paid for it. So I get an email every time someone joins a member area, and I can just quickly look at that. Very often, people will join the member area immediately after they purchase it, and we get the purchase emails. So, my VA and I, we just do a quick check. We have a process for this. And usually then you can see, like a few seconds later, the joining email comes in, and then we know, okay, that's the person that just bought this, So we go every day, maybe like once or twice a day, we just go to that dedicated inbox, and just quickly have a look, through everyone who has joined and who has purchased something. So it is a manual effort, but actually it's okay. If I had hundreds of students, new students every day, or thousands, that wouldn't work, right? But I don't. So it still is manageable. And it has honestly never been an issue. And actually, in all of my years, so I've been using member areas for a few years and this process for a few years. And I have not once had someone join a member area who didn't actually purchase it. So obviously, there is no link on my website to the free member area. The only way to get to it is through the email that I sent. So there is no link anywhere, so nobody can stumble across it or see it or anything like that. The only way to get to it is, through the email. So it works, Now, because I am using a commerce product, and with a commerce product, I can use automations. I can also use upsells, so I say here day 3 upsell email, but it can be any day. You can decide when you want to send it. So I have it set up on day 3 and day 7, I think, or maybe even day 14. So that is entirely up to you when you want to sell these upsell emails. But it's nice, that we can do that. And then the last thing, like with any of them, is communicate with your members, and you can do that through campaigns and, sending people blasts, send them updates and all of that. So as you can see here, step 1, 2, and 4, these are all fully automated. And there are 2 manual steps, the verification, and then, whenever I want to send a communication. This works. It's a workaround, definitely, because of those limitations that we have seen earlier. But it works. Like I said, I've been using this system for years, and we have a workflow, and it's no problem. It works. So with all of this being said, let's look at what the future might bring for this. So this year, 2023, Squarespace are launching quite a few exciting updates. One of them is something that at the moment they call offers. The name for this might change and it will basically allow us to sell multiple digital products that you can bundle. So that is what I've been waiting for. The only reason why I used the previous setup is because I want to be able to bundle my courses. And with this new product, people will be able to buy one offer and then have access to multiple products, or in this case, online courses. I'm not exactly sure what the process will look like. For instance, will they still be required to create an account first and then pay? Or will this maybe be different, where you pay first and then it sends an email with the details? I'm assuming it's probably going to be something like that. I don't know yet, so at the moment, I'm just guessing how this is going to work. But the nice thing is it will take out the verification step. There won't be that need anymore to check that someone has actually bought a course. So I can't wait for this update. We will also be able eventually to upsell and to use automations with member areas or courses. They're also talking about launching a new product called Courses. And so that is something that might happen a little bit later. That is probably not going to be part of that next release. But eventually all of this will be in place at some point this year. So this is a lot to be excited about. And let's just have a look at what is coming with Squarespace. So member areas, while one change has already been implemented, you can now finally change the account email address. For years, that hasn't been possible. That is actually what caused most of the admin for me, when people wanted to change their account email address, and it's never been possible. So if they really wanted to do it, they had to actually create a new account, and then they had to send them a link again to the member area, and then we had to manually delete the old account, and I had to contact Squarespace to do that. It was so complicated. No longer. You can now change your own email address in your own account. I am so glad that we finally have this feature. Then, there will be the new courses product, and I'll show you a screenshot in a moment of what that might look like, where basically you will be able to create a course and it will have progress tracking, and it looks really great and really promising. And we will also be able to bundle, so we'll be able to bundle member areas. Well, we'll be able to bundle multiple digital products, so this is really exciting. And automations, there is going to be at some point, the ability to use automations as well. In campaigns, we'll be able to personalize automations. Right now, you can't actually do that. In a blast, you can say, dear, and you can call someone by their first name. You can insert a variable. Can't do that with automations at the moment, but they're working on that. That's coming. The 60-day limit that we currently have with automations is also going to be extended. There will be new automations, and there will also be more templates, like seasonal templates, for instance. So I am really excited about these changes. Now let's have a little look at what's coming for the new courses product. So this is just a mock-up that Squarespace gave us in the circle. And so this is not necessarily the final product, this is just what it may look like, but what I see so far is really exciting. Here I can see a progress indicator, and I can also see here the lessons, and, and they're checked off if you have already completed them. I really like how they structure them here, and let's have a look at the next screen. And, so this is what it would look like inside the course. Obviously, the student wouldn't see the side here. That is only for you as the administrator. So the student would only see this part. And then there is a side menu where you can also see the progress, and they can collapse it or expand it out. I really like this. I like that this is going to be hopefully a feature. Again, this is just a mock-up. So we don't know at this moment what the final product will look like. But this is the direction they're going in, and I am really excited about this. This is fantastic. Anyway, so I hope that this was helpful, and I'm going to finish this presentation now and we'll be ready for Q&As. Thank you so much. All right. Let's start by having a look at... Oops, hang on a second. What it takes... Remove that one. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging in there with me. And I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to go into the Q&A now. So going to start answering some questions. So the first one, Gina is asking, is there a way to do tiered pricing for the same member area? So you have, a basic price and then you have a higher price for additional material, or do you have to make 2 member areas? And, is there a way to upgrade to the higher tier? So yes, at the moment, you would have to create 2 member areas for this. There is not any way to actually hide content inside a member area and then only make that accessible, to someone who's paid a higher price. So you would have to create, 2 member areas, one at the basic price, one at a higher price. And if you want people to be able to upgrade that, so let's say someone has bought the basic price, but they want to now upgrade to the higher one, you could only do that actually with a commerce product. So this is where you would use my workaround. This is similar to the upsell that I showed you earlier. So if you have, a commerce, so you basically set up a commerce product, like a service product for the upgrade option, and then you can make that available. And then when someone purchases that, you can then create a automation email in Campaigns that then sends them a link to that member area, that is on the higher tier. It's not that easy though, because, if that higher tiered member area has price tag, because it's maybe 2 options that you have, then you also have to send people, for instance, 100% discount code. So when they join the member area, because they'll have to go through the payment process. So, having an option for a higher price as well as an upgrade to that higher price, it's possible to do it, it's just not like super clean, so I hope that this made sense. I mean, anything can be done. This is like what I spent my life doing. I'm always thinking of workarounds, and I'm so determined to use Squarespace, that I always have workarounds. And I do it because I just love Squarespace. There are so many things that I love about it, that I'm willing to do those workarounds. So let me make that as answered. Hang on a second. Unanswering. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, next question from Danielle. If you had to use the member areas to build an interactive community, as a bonus or add on to the courses, how would you do that? So can you have something similar to a Facebook group or Mighty Networks? And the quick answer is no, you can't. Member areas does not have a forum. And you could use like a blog and the comment section in a blog, but that's not really interactive. So I have for many years, I have a Facebook group. And to be honest, it works. I know we all don't like Facebook, and there are many good reasons to not like Facebook, but it works. It's easy. It's convenient. It's a private group. You can only access it if you are, a real member, and it works. Because everyone is on. I mean, not everyone, but most people are on Facebook every day anyway. And I've always found that to be the easiest way to support my students. And, so we just have, in my case, you have to buy a bundle and then you get access to the group. I send a link to that in the welcome email. They also have the link to the group, and then I just let them into the group, and that works well. Mighty Networks is really nice, but anytime I have bought a course that has Mighty Networks, I never go there because it's just like one other system to go to. I just don't use it. Facebook I'm on anyway. So any Facebook group to me is always the easiest way to do it. But if, having an interactive community, within the ecosystem of your course is really important to you, then definitely I would suggest to check out, places like Mighty Networks or Podia. Podia is actually also an online course platform that has a forum as well. They have a built-in forum. Kajabi maybe as well. So if this is really important, then that might be better to check out one of those other ones. So let me just have that one. Yeah, so that was Daniel's question. Next question is from Upayadi. Okay, so I have, hang on a second, let me just put that here so you can also read it. I have a Squarespace site for a nonprofit and need a cost-effective way to run a self-paced course on it. Due to the topic being sensitive, I can't just make it open access, even though it is free. I need something with account management capacity and ideally a forum where instructors and participants can talk. I'm wondering if the membership feature in Squarespace is really the best option, although the interface issues I see and read about continue to turn me off this idea. For discussions, I know Facebook is free. This is basically the same question that I just answered, like Danielle's question. Yes, if you need discussion capabilities, if you don't want to use Facebook for that, you can, of course, have a free member area, so it still is protected. People still have to sign up. They still have to create an account. And then, you can have a group outside of that, but if you don't want to use Facebook, if none of this works for you, then check out one of the other platforms, like I said, Podia, Mighty Networks, they are all pretty good. And so you might have to do like a little chart, where you look at all the different systems and then compare all the things that are important to you, including the price, and then figure out, what is the best option for that. All right, next question. So Lenore, who is actually not here today, but she asked me to answer this question. I have a Squarespace Commerce plan for my e-commerce website, and where I am selling art. I have 5 distinct audiences, and I want to send each of them a monthly newsletter. I cannot go on the higher than the cheapest campaign plan. I think it will not work for me because of the 3 email blast limit per month. What do you think? Well, Lenora, if you want to send 5 different blasts, you're going to have to go on a higher plan. This is no way to do it because that's how the plans are working. Let me do a screen share here for a moment. We're going to have a look at the plans. Okay, so I hope you guys can see this. So here are the plans for campaigns. So the starter one, you can send 3 campaigns per month, up to 500 emails. And, works great for a small list. You need to be on the core plan if you want to send 5 campaigns per month. There is just no workaround for that. Now, I have another thought about this, because to be honest, to have 5 distinct audiences, that sounds like a lot to me. That sounds like a lot to manage. Now, me, I'm all about keeping things simple. That is one of the main reasons why I use Squarespace for everything, because I like things to be simple. I don't want to overwhelm my audience or my students. I don't want to overwhelm myself. If I had 5 different audiences, I would quickly feel very overwhelmed. So to me, this sounds more like a case of, is there any way to consolidate them? Is there any way to either decide you're going to have less audiences, or can you actually merge them somehow? That is what I would look at. So can you, for instance, merge them into 3 audiences so that you can be on the pricing plan that you can currently afford? That would be my answer. Next question. So Wendy is asking, okay, what programs and equipment do I use to create my courses? Okay, so I'm on a Mac, which I know is what many people use. So for my video tutorials, I use a software called ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow is specifically for Macs, and it works really great. I upload all my video tutorials to Vimeo. Now, I do that still because that's what I've been doing for years, because it didn't used to be possible to upload videos directly to Squarespace. You can now upload directly to Squarespace, and you actually get video time if you are on a member areas plan. You get certain hours of video time, and then you can upload directly. I still like Vimeo actually, because in Vimeo I can, for instance, do things like timestamp my videos so that people can easily scroll through them or find certain things, because I have timestamped them. Can't do that if you upload directly to Squarespace, so I still use that. What camera, mic, and lighting do I use? Camera, just my built-in camera on my iMac. I have the latest iMac because iMac cameras used to be crap. They used to be really bad. But with the latest iMac, they've actually become a lot better. So I use that. I don't use anything for lighting. I have my natural light from a window in front of me. Not great for my glasses, by the way, but what can you do? And microphone, I use my my Blue mic, so I've had that for many years as well. Do I work from a script or outline when I record? No, I don't. I'm actually very, I don't know, I've tried that. I don't really script what I do. So when I record my video tutorials, I already know what I want to talk about. I know my stuff, I know what I'm talking about. I do sometimes have to re-record things a few times, to get it right. That happens. But that to me is easier than scripting it. I'm just not very good with scripting it. I tried that and it doesn't quite work for me. How many takes does it take? With more experience, it takes me actually a lot less takes now. In the beginning, it was more, but I'm also making shorter videos, for instance, in my courses now. They used to be longer, like half an hour, 40 minutes. That is harder to just take in one go without a script. Now I actually break them down into much shorter chunks. And I do that because Squarespace keep changing things, and it's easier for me to update a shorter video than a whole long one. So that definitely has helped, So these days it doesn't take that many takes anymore for me. And do I have tips on how to establish pricing? That is really hard to say. I would say, see what the competition does in your area, see what other people offer, look at what you want to make, and all of these things. I actually discuss some of these things in some of my courses, and but it really is such an individual case, that the good thing is you can play around with pricing. You can just easily increase it or decrease it and kind of see how your sales do. That's what I sometimes do, and you don't have to make any big announcements about that either. And is there a sweet spot for the length of a course? Again, it depends on the course. I break my courses down. I usually have 6 to 7 modules. That seems to work quite well. And then each module has usually multiple videos, but I try to make them shorter. I also offer a lot of written content, so my courses, so that they also work to make them more accessible for people. So my courses are not only video. I often have accompanying text, I style them. Sometimes I have downloadable PDFs. That's the other thing I like about using Vimeo. Vimeo has closed captions, so my videos, I'm started that with my new course now, and I'm going to update my other courses too, so that my videos have closed captions as well, and that's a really nice feature in Vimeo. And you can also tweak them a little bit, if there's mistakes. I have an accent, so Vimeo doesn't always understand me when they transcribe that into a caption. So I hope that that has helped. And let me just click that done answering. Naomi is asking, what are your thoughts on hosting a resources library within a password protected blog or hosting it with member areas. So for instance, resources like what you could be included in a template sale. Yeah, you could absolutely use, I know, for instance, if you sell templates, oftentimes people have videos to go with the templates. You know, they're kind of like mini courses that show people how to update a template themselves. You could totally do that in member areas. You know, you could also do it on a password protected page. You just have to think about the delivery message. You know, how are people going to get to that content? You know, so with a password protected page, you have to send them an email after they make the purchase, where you have a link to that with the password, or, you know, they create an account. You know, do you want people to have to create an account when they buy a template? You know, do you want them to do that? So again, you have to kind of look at that. But is it possible? Absolutely. You know, it's definitely possible. Okay, and now next up, Angie is asking, you have a paid event set up as a service, and it is charging text. I'm not commerce savvy. Am I missing a setting? Okay, taxes, I can't really advise on, but in commerce, you know, there is a section for taxes where you basically turn them on or off, and you can charge taxes by country, by state. You know, I mean, you can drill it down. If you are in the US and you have to charge sales tax, that's potentially very complex, you know, because we have thousands and thousands of tax districts. Then you might want to use like a tax jar. You know, they have a plugin. Squarespace has a plugin for that. If you are in Europe, you know, then they have their own tax laws. You have to basically find out, and really that is up to your client. You say this is on a client website. This is actually more the client's responsibility to know whether what they sell actually requires payment of taxes. You know, this is really up to the client. And when they tell you what is needed, then you can see what you can do in Squarespace. You know, you can set it up, but if you don't want to charge taxes, you can turn that off as well. So yeah, so have a talk with your client, you know, see what they say. This is their responsibility. It's not your responsibility to know what taxes they should charge for their own events. Roshni is asking, is there a way to offer payment plans or more than one tier of payment plans for a course in a member area? Yes, there is. Let me do a screen share again and show you. So let's have a look at this. In member areas, you know, you have a pricing tab, and here you can have either a fixed amount or you can have subscriptions, and you can add payment options to those as well. So you can have a fixed amount, you know, with one payment, or you could have, you know, another one with 3 payments, you know, so you can give people options here. And the way this looks like, you know, so this is what it would look like on your website. So in this case, this is a subscription. So you can charge a monthly amount or you can charge an annual amount. So you have 2 options that you can switch between. This is really nice, I think. Okay, let's stop that again. So I hope that was helpful. And we will have also more options once Squarespace launch their new features, you know, because they're going to make pricing much easier, you know, where we can bundle, we can, you know, include different types of products, you know, in a bundle and all of that, you know, where we'll have different pricing options. So there's a lot of exciting stuff in the pipeline, but I don't have a lot of details on this yet, and I don't have a detail or information on the timeline either. It will be sometime this year. That's all I know. So next question from Holly. If I only purchase one course but not a bundle, how do I make sure that in member areas I can only see or access that one course and not your other courses, you know, which I did not purchase? Well, you don't. I mean, because the customer will only ever see the courses that they have purchased, So in member areas, so let me actually just go to my website here for a moment. When someone logs in, so this is a person who has only bought one course. It will come up here at the top. So the top navigation changes and they only see this one course. Now, if they have multiple courses, so let me just log in with a different, with a different one. And sorry. Okay, here we go. And so this person has all of my courses and so you can see them and then you can easily, switch between courses. This is actually something I really like, so if you have multiple courses, you just go to the top navigation here. Oh, and actually that didn't share, did it? Sorry, guys. Let me just do this again. Okay. No, that's not, hang on, where did it go? Here we go. Sorry, I forgot to do the screen share. So this is someone who's logged in who has multiple courses and they can see this up here, so they can actually access each course. If, someone has bought only one course when they log in, so let me just switch that out. Then they only see the one course up here. So they will not see any courses that they haven't bought. So I hope this makes sense. So let me just go back here and done answering that. And Heidi is asking, could I please explain the limitations of verify again? At what count would it become too much volume for you? Okay, so verify, is regarding, the fact that I use a commerce product to sell my member area, which triggers a automation email with a link to the member area. I make that member area free because I don't want people to buy, to go through the payment process again. So when they click on the link, all they have to do is create their account and then they're in the member area. When someone joins the member area that way, I get an email, saying, hey, so-and-so has joined this member area. So then I look at this email and usually, I also get an email every time someone buys a course, so usually those two happen within a few minutes of each other. So I usually can see the purchase confirmation email, and then a few minutes later, I can see that this person has joined that course email. So I know they belong together. So I literally just, I file away the purchase email, and then I just delete the they have joined the course because I know they are legit. Sometimes people join later, they take a few days, sometimes even a few weeks. In that case, I just go into my commerce section on my website, plug in that email, quickly check, make sure that they've bought the course, and that's it. So at what point, and also my VA helps with that. This is actually something that mostly my VA does these days. I would say if I sold like hundreds of courses, yeah, I mean, that would probably not be great. Now, the most courses I sell at a time is, for instance, when I have a big sale, and then I get then I might actually have like up to 100 in a day, but I know that this is coming. Most people, like I said, join immediately, so it's okay. So to be honest, for me, I mean, I don't have hundreds and thousands of people sign up every day. I can easily manage, 10, 20. I mean, it's so ingrained, this process, it's really not an issue. And also, like I said, it has not once happened that someone has joined a course who hadn't paid for it, so it's actually not once happened, and so so it's a system that works. I hope that helped. So that was that question. So let's just answer that. How are we doing for time? Or actually, we're over time. Thank you for still being here. We have 2 more questions, so I'm happy to go over time. and I will answer them. Will this webinar be available to watch later? Yes. You can just come back to the link of the webinar and the replay will be available at the same link. Very easy to do. And this is kind of off topic. Last question by Sari or Sarah, sorry. This is, but I would love to have you put on a course on how to use Apple Notes in your business. I've heard you mention it before. Yeah, I'm looking at doing more business type courses actually. So that is really good input, and I will keep that in mind. You know, we love Apple Notes here. You know, we use Apple Notes for everything. It works really well. So guys, I haven't looked at all the chat stuff yet, so I hope I'll look at that a little bit later. I will send you a follow-up email, so I'll see if there's anything in the chat, you know, that still needs addressing. I will address that in the follow-up email. I put a little link down here if anyone is not on my mailing list. If you want to join, you know, I will announce then if I have more webinars like that. We're going to do another webinar actually on AI and SEO with Kate Scott. So watch out for that. You know, Kate and I will do another one very soon in April. Thank you so much, guys. And the replay will be available at this same URL. And I will see you on the internet. Thank you. Now, where do I stop this? Here we go.